Hi everybody, so today I'm going to show you how to do a Tree of Life pendant. I know you've probably seen them everywhere for Pinterest for sale, all that good stuff. So I went ahead and started the pendant already. Basically you just get a piece of wire, twist it around, and then what's left over you just make a little loop so that way you have it. If you see here, there's a piece here where the loop ends, and then a piece of there it's wrapped around. Now what I did is I just kind of squished it together because it doesn't really wrap that great, and then you get this tight looking wrap here. So what you're going to need today is wire, obviously, let's say a good set of pliers, wire clippers, and then these are used for making the circular pieces in the wiring with wire jewelry. So I may not need these too much, but I wanted to go ahead and have them just in case. And then I prefer beads like this, which are irregular shaped, so they shape a little bit better like tree branches. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have 6 pieces of wire here. I suggest they be probably at least double what your base is going to be, just because this is what your tree is going to look like. So what I usually like to do is wrap all of the wires around the bottom and then add the beads and do one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do one. I'm going to go ahead and do one, and then I'll do the rest and come back. So this is kind of where the pliers and things come in handy, because you want, so you can start, and then it's just kind of wrapping around. And this does take a little bit to get used to. It's kind of hard sometimes, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and just start, and just be careful that you don't like poke yourself. I'm going to start on the other end. And like I said, at the end, you want to wrap this around the base. What I usually suggest, I didn't have any, otherwise I would have used it, is to use smaller gauge wire to do the actual tree, as opposed to what you're using for the base. It bends a little bit easier usually. You see how I got it kind of started? So what I'm going to do is wrap it from this side just a little bit. This is why it's better if it's a thinner gauge, a smaller gauge. And it's okay if you mess up the shape of the outside, you can always fix it. So I'll go ahead and start it, and then see, it's not really wrapped around real good. The more you do it, the better you get at it, to where you don't have to do this. But what I like to do is just squish it together. Makes it a little bit better, and then you can kind of tighten it up. Makes it a little bit easier to see how it's starting to kind of come together. And you just keep on doing that until you get it to where you want it. And I suggest just playing with it, especially if you're new at it. I haven't done too many, I've done a couple of these, but like I said, I usually use thinner wire. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of them, and then I'm going to come back and we'll show you the next step. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like once you have all of them attached. See, they're just kind of tightly woven. You can do it as much as you want. I wouldn't suggest to tighten them too much, because then when you do need to move them, it's a little bit more difficult. And as you can see, the base is a little bit off, but that's okay, because we can fix that. So then now what we're going to want to do is just kind of like twist these together, because you're going to be making their roots. So what I usually do is I twist them together, the two that are next to each other. And then we're going to flip all that to where they're all up. You can bend them as you need. And then I'm going to twist them kind of all together. You can do this however you want. I usually do like this. You can do a couple different twists and turns, and then kind of twist them all together to kind of create a tree in the middle. And then you see you kind of mess this part up, so you're gonna wanna, yeah, make sure. And then, yeah, this is gonna be the fun part. This is again why I say to use a lighter, a thinner gauge on the inside, because you can see it's kind of hard to twist them. So then what I'm going to go ahead and do is this, where these come in, you're going to want to bend these roots that you made. And yeah, just kind of like bend them in. This way you're kind of creating like a root network, but as you can see, you're actually creating space for your tree. Yeah, so you want to kind of, can't get in there because some of these, like I said, there we go. So just making space and kind of twist them out. And what I'm doing is basically just creating like a base for this so that I can make the tree itself. I'm actually going to probably untwist a couple of these up at the top so that I can make branches. Yeah. Okay. And you see, I have branches. So this is where it comes, like I said, this is not, you can fix it later. If you don't like the shape, you can always bend it out later, kind of straighten it as much as you can. That's why I like these, because they're rounded, so when you clamp down, you're not going straight, you're getting like a rounded edge here. Okay, so as you can see, I made my branches. Now what you want to do is, once you get your tree the way you kind of want it, so you're gonna probably I'm just gonna flip it so that way I get more of like a tree base, a tree trunk there. Okay. And then what you want to do is kind of spread these. They don't have to be perfect, but you want them to be kind of spread out, because what you're creating is a tree in the ultimate. And if you don't have, yeah. Sometimes it's easier just kind of, I know that sounds silly, but kind of manhandle it a little bit. There we go. To get where you want it. Okay, oops, I did a little too much. I pulled these out a little too much, because now it's like messing up my circle. So you want it to kind of stay a circle if you can, as best as possible. I haven't made one this big, and like I said, usually I use a thinner wire, but I didn't have any. All the wire I have is this gauge, so it kind of doesn't work. So next step is to put the beads on, and you want to just bead as many as you want on here, and you do each limb individually. And I can't tell you exactly how many beads you're going to need, because it all depends on your tree. Usually I would say it's usually an average of 6 to 5 beads per limb. Obviously that can be, because as you can see, I've got 5 on there right now. If I can get one that's a little thinner, I might go ahead and add another one on. Okay. And then what you would do, I'm gonna put this one kind of low and just kind of thread it in. This is where your pliers come in really handy, because your fingers can't really. You just want to pull it and wrap. Now, I know that there are some people that do this and it comes out beautiful and it's tightly wrapped and they don't have to squeeze them together. I do, unfortunately. So my technique is not the greatest just yet, but as you can see, since my technique is not the greatest, I do not do this for a living, obviously. And then there's going to be some extra. You can go ahead and leave it. I would leave it for now. Just until you get your tree that you want it. And then you just keep on doing it all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and do mine, and then I'll show you afterwards what the next step is. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and finished putting on the branches. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is cut off the excess that I have here and then just push them down, so that way they don't catch on clothing if you wear it as a necklace, and they don't poke. So I'm just cutting them off with the pliers that I told you about. Now you can get these in a set. This is actually 2 different sets. This is the full set of this one. So it comes with basically a needle nose plier, clippers, and then the round ones. So my set has been abused quite a bit because I use it for everything, not just for jewelry making. So that includes crafts around projects around the house and things like that, so you can imagine they're pretty beat up. And I'm just gonna squish them down. As you can see, I'm just squishing down the ends here, just so that they don't poke out. You can later take like a file to them. That's what I used to do. I've made a couple of these in my time. So, and then what I'm just gonna do is just kind of flatten this out, kind of make it more round, just kind of squish. It's wire, so it's gonna bend to where you want it, to where it's kind of looks round, and then there you go, and there it's done. And this is, like I said, this one is not the way that I usually make them. I prefer smaller gauge wire on the inside to do the branches with. You can use a lower gauge or a more pliable metal for it. Now you can really do these nice. I have actually made them as gifts before with birthstone beads, which is really cool, and silver wire, so it's like fine jewelry almost. The wire is a little bit different to work with. It's not as hard to bend as this one is. This one is actually not meant for this kind of thing, but it's the only one I had, and I wanted to show you guys because I found these awesome beads in my collection. You can use whatever beads you want. You can use seed beads if you'd like. You just need a little bit more branches. Like this one, I actually probably could have gone a little bit further, gotten probably another 2 branches, and it would have been okay, because you really want this to be full, but it's fine. And like I said, you use about 5 to 6 on each branch. If you like the video, please click the like below and follow us if you haven't already. And if you have any questions or comments or anything that you would like me to do or like to see, any crafts, just let me know. I do tend to like the fanciful, sci-fi, fantasy stuff, so I will be adding a little bit more of that to the channel. But thank you for coming in and seeing this today. And if, like I said, any questions, any recommendations, just put them down below. Thank you.